Good day, everybody. This is Balam Solis with Power Apps or Power Platform. As one day I'll get it right in higher ed. As always, what I do here in higher ed is just related to my job. Anything I do, you can do in your job. So today I want to give you another example of how I've been using generative AI. In this particular case, we're going to look at letting AI take care of really tedious, long definitions, long functions that we would probably have to find some other ways to not make so tedious and also to avoid making mistakes. In this particular case, we're going to look at an advanced property of the charts component that is part of Power Apps. And we're going to revisit how to use ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot to create collections. But first, here's my intro. So, if you like this, please go ahead and subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. So the use case scenario I'm going to work in today is related to an application I developed a while back where I'm using Power Apps to track the weight of an individual. So it's part of a wellness application where individuals enter their weights and they see their progress as the month progresses. And so let's take a look at how we can take advantage, at least to create a proof of concept of these two things, how to create collections and how to create a sequence of colors for all the individual bars in the app in the bar chart component. So let's switch over to the desktop and get going. So here's my desktop, and I am going to just start by creating an app. I'm going to do a blank and click create, and we're going to say this is our weight tracker app. In a regular example, this would obviously not be tied to a collection, but I'm just taking advantage of this to revisit how to create a collection with Copilot. And as a point of clarification, I'm using, Chat Copilot, Bing Chat Enterprise, whatever it is called today. I'm not using the Copilot functionality built in Power Apps, because at least as of this recording, I have not succeeded in using the built-in Copilot function inside of the Power Apps Studio to do this particular thing. But let's get going. I'm going to switch over to my Copilot and ChatGPT environments to show you how I've done this. All right, so here I have ChatGPT. I'm using GPT-4, but I'm pretty sure this will work with GPT-3. And on this side, I'm using Copilot. This is our enterprise Copilot, so I'm making sure this is on the web tab of this. I'm going to start by creating a collection that will hold the weights of an individual, and we're going to use 31 values for that. I'm coming here and I say, create a table with all the dates in January 2024. Doesn't really matter what year it is. And in one column, and then the second column containing fictional body weight for an individual. And this is just so that we have something to work with. Okay, now that we have this table, and notice this is something new I had not seen earlier. You could actually edit this table in Excel. Pretty awesome, but we're not going to go there. We're going to do this. We're going to now ask to write a Power Apps function to create a collection with the values above and make sure it includes all the values in the collection. I've done this before. If I don't tell it to include all the values in the collection, it will only create a sample and tell me, now you know how to do it, just go do it. But It will even ignore the fact that I gave it a bad spelling of right. Let's go. Okay, so it came back and gave us all the values. You can see them here, and gave us a clear collection, my collection. So we can actually just copy that. And now you can come here, and we're going to do this on the onStart. You could also make it on the unvisible for the screen, but for simplicity, I'm going to do this on the onStart. And I'm going to say onStart, clear collection. There it is. I'm going to call it actually collection weights. And now I'm going to right click on the app and make sure to run the onStart so the collection actually gets created. We can come here, and here on the collection, there are weights with 31 rows, and we can view the table, and there it is, January 1st, blah, 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 blah. That's all pretty awesome. I'm going to use this collection to create a chart that helps the individual visualize their journey into wellness as they enter their weight on a daily basis. I search for chart, and here's my column chart. Initially, when it comes in, there's a couple of things to notice. You see that there's a sequence of colors. It's actually 10 colors. And so what happens when we make the data, when we map the data into this sequence? To do that, we actually have to click inside. And here's the actual column chart. And the items are going to be our collection weights. And you will see that this basically takes those 10 values, and when it runs out of values, it repeats and repeats and repeats. And my goal here is a little bit different. I want to create a progressively lighter green sequence, but I do want to keep all the bars as green. So how do we do this? It's not obvious here where you can do that, right? We need to go to the advanced section. In the advanced section, on one hand, you can tell it that yes, the labels are going to be the dates, which appear down here. And this is going to be the first series is going to be weights. Really, all the other ones are, if you had more columns of data that you were also plotting, you would be able to use the other series. Further down here, it gives us our item color set. All right. So this is where we're going to try something a little bit different from what we've done before. We're actually going to use the item color set definition, this one here. So let's take a look at it. And we're going to use that to ask GPT to generate something for us. So this is the current definition of that set, and this is already structured the way we need it. Okay, so we're going to copy this, and in this case, we are going to use ChatGPT to demonstrate that this can be done both ways to generate this output for us. Okay, so the way I structured my prompt was this: use this as an example to generate a series of 31 values that increases the green by 2. And this is supposed to be the template that it uses for that, right? So the RGBA values here are red 48, green 166, blue 103, and the alpha is set to 1. So let's see if it actually delivers what we need. All right, so notice that here it actually knows that the maximum value of green or any of the RGBs should be 255. We can try to see what happens when we say, well, make the initial value for green 100. This is looking great. Now we're going to say enclose the sequence in brackets and proceed. All right, notice that even made it plain text. So we can now copy this and go back here and replace that. And now let's take a look at our chart. Well, this is a little bit funky. It didn't come out green as I expected, but I think you can still see the value of doing this. You can basically generate a sequence of colors very, very simply. Imagine if you would have had to type this all by hand, right? We can actually look at this other sequence here, and we can tell it in the instruction. Let's see what happens when we then tell it, okay, start, do the same. So I did here do the same, but keep the red and blue at 100. Let's copy that and replace it in the app. So we replace it in the app, and by that point, then we have a series of greens. So you can really play with this whole collection of values to create all sorts of really fancy sequences here. So to recap, we have done two things. We have actually used Copilot, and we could have used Copilot with all of these things, but I wanted to show you that you can do both things with Copilot and with ChatGPT from Open AI. You get slightly different results. You can play with it, but one of the things it did was A, create a collection. It was super easy to do that. And B, create this 31 number sequence automatically, using AI, whatever we want to call it these days. And by then altering a few parameters, you could create totally different color sequences for your bar chart display, which would make your app look a lot more interesting. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe there. And I will try to keep making some of these other things. So subscriptions and likes are always good to keep our channel going, my channel going. And until the next time, thank you.